So I'll go ahead and bring the meeting to order. So we're going to first on the agenda, it's convene the meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Consideration of planning and zoning minutes for the meeting held on March 7th, 2023. Do we have any changes or amendments to what you had in your packet?
Make a motion, we accept the waiver reading.
Okay, thank you. Good. First and a second. All in favor, say aye. Thank you. Next up, public comment. Anybody, Amy?
No, sir.
Okay, fantastic. We'll move on. Next is discussion and approval of Article 505, Animals and Fowl Ordinance. I think we've finally got this getting close and near to an end. As we left it the last time, we had a couple of folks that just mentioned that they'd like to just, look at it, go over it today, maybe even discuss some of the outer lining areas of the city, if we should do anything with those. We've discussed it and we've hashed this around quite a bit. I think I was pretty clear as to the direction I wanted to go in. I know, Jim, you were busy at the last meeting, but we've discussed it a little bit, I know. We went ahead and made a change in there. We took out the area, and we'll be amending that part of the ordinance that indicates, I think I put it, I guess Amy did that for me, and she's got it in there for you, where she's got it the before and the after. So the area that we're taking out is the one that's permitting it through the recorder. And we've taken that completely out and just not allowing fowl or chickens at all. And I think it's all in there. If you have any questions on that, entertain that conversation. As I understand, this would go to the city council, correct?
Yes, sir.
And is it 2 readings?
Yeah, first and second reading.
Yes. There'll be 2 readings on that. Is there a public hearing at all? I don't think there is there? Okay, so it's just two readings on the council.
You want to discuss it any of your?
I'm open for discussion if anybody would like to discuss.
Well, not much, a little bit maybe.
Okay, good.
That 50503, is that necessary?
Keeping of the hogs.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing.
No.
I think some of the problems with our ordinances, and we've talked about this before, is that it says kind of lends itself in one part of the ordinance or in another ordinance, and then you kind of get a little crossways, with trying to interpret it, and especially with our code official, trying to determine what's going on. So, but it looks like this is just kind of redundant here, this 50503.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that.
And that, I think the last, 50519 on the last page. And by the way, I think we've got a typo there, pretty serious there.
505.19. Okay.
It says shall be unlawful.
Yeah. I just copied it. I didn't type it.
I don't catch many, but
Where is it? I'm sorry.
I see it.
What subsection is that in?
That's been in there since 68.
Yeah.
69, yeah.
Yeah, that's been in there
yeah, we need to do
since
something.
1968. Which subsection?
505.19.
I know, but which letter?
Come on, Gary.
Oh, I see it now. Okay, yeah. I got you. Okay.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it says, shall be unlawful any horses, ponies, mules, or other beasts of burdens, as well as any kind of livestock, cattle, poultry, or swine. So does that 505.03 need to be there? It's redundant, isn't it?
I don't feel like it should be.
That'd be a question for Joey. Cause maybe it just is in there where, in case anybody wants to come and say can we have a hog?
I know, but 50519
Is it in there?
says it shall be unlawful.
Yeah, yeah, so
Yeah.
you already have it in there saying it's unlawful.
Yeah, you can take it out.
I think we take it out.
Does that make, is that all right there, Mike? No.
It's good by me. You gentlemen all right with that? Uh-huh. Okay. See anything else?
Well, hmm. Not really, kind of, but I don't know. There's reference made in the first section there, 50501, in subsection E.
Uh-huh. The provisions?
It makes reference to farm animals and stuff in there too, you know, as if. And I think we're all right. It's just that. I
If
just
we're
got.
taking it out, it shouldn't be in there, is what.
It should be a reference made to it.
I think so too. Yeah, there shouldn't be a reference to it if we're not allowing it,
Yeah,
in my
that's
opinion.
that's.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You'll see that subsection E there, but it's talking about farm animals and.
That cleans it up.
That's just a couple of things I noticed.
No, that's good. Just take that out.
And you might leave the first part of it in there,
Yes,
about the
Yeah.
hunting.
Yeah.
Because we do allow hunting with a bow,
yes, we
or
do.
we can.
Mhm.
So that, I think that probably needs to stay in there probably.
Yes.
Reference that first part there. But when it comes to farm livestock and the rest of it, I'd say.
Yeah. Hunting, fishing, yeah. Then after that, so we would go hunting and fishing, period. I agree with that.
For me,
Just a little something that,
It's good fun, especially the type.
I guess I'm too simple for this stuff. I mean, I got that thing pretty simple. I can't sort through some of this stuff sometimes. I have trouble.
All right,
It's gotta be longer.
Craig, you okay with that? or- Always looking over.
I guess hunting's the only thing we actually allow, isn't it?
Yeah, really it is.
but you're not gonna take out fishing, or you,
No, I'm gonna leave fishing.
I was gonna say, cause they fish all the time, right down
I
our
know,
houses.
oh, yeah. Yeah, I was gonna put it and hunting
Fishing,
and
yeah,
fishing, period, and
Yeah,
then it would
that's
be all
okay.
over from there.
That's okay.
Yeah.
They might wanna throw something in there, it being, do they have to have a fishing license to do? I mean, is that just in streams, or is that in
It's
everything?
everywhere.
I think it's everywhere.
I'd probably put something in there, licensed fishing or something to that effect.
Okay.
They didn't tell me what the city I had to have your license.
Okay.
Well, the only thing that this thing says is, that, E just refers to all these things up here in this section, 50501, cruelty to animals, what you can and can't do, what you can't do to animals, mistreating animals. It really doesn't get into any other kind of permitting issues or licensing issues or anything. It just refers to, this stuff pertains to cruelty to animals in this section, I think.
Okay. Any other conversation or discussion with that? I guess I will entertain a motion to approve with the said changes.
So moved.
Okay. I have a second?
Sorry.
Great. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right. Next on the agenda is discussion of tiny homes. I'm sure that we've all looked into those and I have done that. I know some of you have too. It's really difficult. Tiny homes is
This is a harder thing than what,
it was a lot harder than I thought.
once you gotta get into it.
Yeah, it was a lot harder than I thought. Matter of fact, I called Craig because I said, you may need to speak a little bit on this subject because he probably has some ideas about it. But it looks like what I'm finding, and Jim, you can sort of correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like the places that are doing tiny home ordinances are doing them in areas dedicated to those tiny homes, like they're doing like a mobile home park.
A district or something.
Yes, they're doing those like that.
Well, they do those, I've seen them in, they call them veterans parks. Like
Yes.
they'll take a little one, but it's an actual setup type of development.
Yes.
So I think that should be visited if it happens.
That's how
You know, with what I build, we build storage buildings. You know, we build either okay storage buildings or we build extremely nice storage buildings, but they're still just storage buildings.
Right.
You know, and somebody can come in and finish them, do things like that. But I think a tiny home should be classified just like a mobile home.
I agree.
I think it should be in certain areas, certain square footage, everything like that. Because if you're not careful, you're going to end up, and I've thought about this all day, ever since we talked about it, you're going to end up with everybody putting one in their backyard for an
Yes.
Airbnb.
Yes.
That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, for 3 weeks I've tried to convince myself that it would be okay, but I just can't do that. I feel like I need to protect the neighborhoods and sanctify our neighborhoods and make sure that everybody's protected on that, because I do see Airbnbs popping up with them, and I like Airbnbs. I'm not against Airbnbs, but no matter what I was thinking, it's still a mobile home. I mean, if you look at the pictures, hundreds and hundreds of pictures, they look beautiful, but they're all sitting on those
But if you
tires,
do
they're
that,
sitting on the roads.
You also got the same argument, somebody could set up a nice camper in their backyard and do the same thing.
Yes,
So, and I mean, they're livable. I mean, pipeliners do it every day.
absolutely.
Sure.
But if somebody came to me and had some land and wanted to create one of those small communities like that, I mean, I certainly see like the veterans, a senior living area, people wanting to downsize and go into smaller homes like that. I would not have a problem with it, but I think I'd like to address it if it comes up.
Yeah, I think that needs to be on every individual case.
Yeah.
I don't think we can throw a blanket out there.
I agree. What's your thoughts?
Well, I don't know, I read enough, I guess, to
Yeah, Jefferson
I get
County.
thrashed around quite a bit with, when you start reading this stuff, you know.
Oh, yeah?
Because there's obviously a lot of folks on the internet promoting this kind of thing, you know.
Mhm,
And even communities, you know, people writing articles, different things about the pluses and the minuses,
mhm.
that kind of thing. But I don't think you can do it that quite, I mean, if you were gonna do it, you have to have a lot of restrictions, and I guess that's what Jefferson County's done, so. But do you do it? I don't know. It seems to be maybe a little bit of a trend toward these backyard deals though, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, these what do they call them, ADUs?
ADUs, that's what they're
Accessory
called.
dwelling units.
Yep, that's exactly what they're
And
called.
it seems to be a little bit of a trend toward that.
Yeah.
In fact, California, I guess, is just,
Oh,
they've
there's
just
popping up
taken
everywhere.
off on this thing.
Yeah. Popping up
Having these
everywhere.
things in the backyard.
Yeah,
Well, they're popping up in southern West Virginia in backyards like you can't believe.
yeah. I believe it.
And I don't know if the people are renting them or if it's a family
Yeah.
member that's moving in, grandma's out back or whatever. And it's it's happening, it's really happening. And we don't see it much here, but down there it's.
It's everywhere. It's
First of all-
everywhere.
First of all, they can afford them, you
Right.
know, and it's going to eventually be a problem everywhere.
Well, you know, just, you go out to Sean's place out in Mount Nebo, the mobile home place, they have small, you know, they're small little, but they're probably 400 square feet, 500 square feet, like a little 2-bedroom cabin.
Yeah,
But, you know, we have enough county out there to put something like that. You know, we don't have to put it right down here.
right.
And, you know, kind of our job is to protect this little area.
Right.
And property values in the area. too.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know,
I agree.
probably opening up a kind of a Pandora's box there or something if
Oh, yeah.
we do it
I think we
without a
should
whole
treat-
lot of
I
restrictions
think
and
we should
oversight and everything.
treat them like mobile homes right now. And they can go in areas of mobile home parks and things like that. And then if it becomes an issue with, we get a ATV park or something like they got down in southern West Virginia, then we might have to address it. Then, but I think for right now, it should just carry the label, just like a mobile home.
What determines a cabin from a small home?
Probably the foundation.
Yeah.
You know, like my stuff is brought in on a trailer and dropped and blocked up.
It's not square footage?
The square footage, do we have a square footage? I know Greenbrier County has 800 square feet.
That's my question. I didn't see anything
I
in
don't-
ours.
I've not seen anything.
I mean, could
square
somebody do a tiny house right now?
Probably could. I mean, built, stick built.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things we were discussing, should we have a minimum square footage with a permanent foundation and that kind of thing?
I think maybe, when I just been looking through our ordinances, our zoning and so forth, and I didn't see any kind of restriction on the size. So it looks like to me that, I mean, what would prohibit somebody from doing that now? And maybe we ought to recraft our ordinance a little bit
Yeah.
to say that.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. So if we're not gonna do and permit tiny homes, I think we should at least address putting a minimum square footage in, you know, with the foundations that we want, if it's a permanent foundation or whatever.
And a lot size.
We have a lot size, don't we?
Yeah, I think there's a lot
I
size.
think there's a lot size.
Yeah.
Well, they've really addressed it in this Jefferson County.
Yes, they have.
They've hit every angle.
Yeah, and this was, I believe, in 2018 or 2019 when they went through this. And I thought it was, I printed it because I copied it, I thought it was a good example of one. Here you go, Brad.
This is something we're going to have to do in the county. We're going to have to get some ordinances in this county.
Yeah.
What's that?
We're going to have to work on ordinances in the county.
Yeah.
Clean up, start with clean up.
Yeah.
That's what you do your last term.
Yeah,
That's what they did in Fayette County.
or your first term.
That's exactly what they did in Fayette County. Some of the commissioners got together, they said, we're not gonna run anymore, but we're gonna pass it on countywide. That's what they did, they got out. Well, they knew they couldn't be elected after that.
Yeah.
Well, my son's down in Charlotte. He said the city council down there voted to add an additional lane to approve an expansion of their right of way and to put another lane in. and everybody was tickled to death. You know how it is around, the lake down at Lake Norman?
Oh, yeah.
But they didn't tell the public it was gonna be an express lane. You had to pay for it. And every one of those councilmen that voted for it got voted out. I mean, every one of them.
Yeah. Maybe what that to do,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Did you get one of these?
Do they have lot size on this or anything? They don't, do they? Or is that just subject to the regular lot size that's in the zoning ordinance, I wonder?
So Gary, what do you wanna see here? Do you wanna address tiny homes in itself? Or do you wanna just say, we look at them right now like mobile homes?
I think we should say, I mean, I couldn't talk myself out of it. It's a mobile home. I mean, it comes in
This one's on wheels.
on wheels, yeah. They
This
come
one's
in on, yeah, they come in on wheels, you know, and that's a mobile home in my opinion.
I like.
I don't know that they have to though, do they?
No, no, they
I
don't
mean,
have
You
to.
can just build a little,
Yeah, you can do it, or you can bring them in on a trailer like I.
yeah, prefab or whatever.
But, you know, like in this Jefferson one, they address about using shipping containers, outbuilding storage buildings and turn them in, you know, that's, you're right, they hit this.
They're thorough, yeah,
They really addressed it.
yeah. It was as good as I could see that was out there on the internet. There's some other areas, Parkersburg, and there's some other areas that are doing some of these, but this one was pretty spot on in my opinion.
Well, Jefferson's really getting into their population increase, and they were on the front burner.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I'd say so.
But you take one something, like how this little setup is here,
Yeah,
and you do a little neighborhood like that.
yeah. it's-
You
it's
know,
a
a simple
town district.
person, a
Some of them
veteran.
are nice.
oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, they are.
They've made an effort to spruce them up.
Especially some of the other, I mean, coming out of 3,000 square foot homes by themselves, it's perfect.
Some of them ain't cheap either.
No,
No,
no.
they're not, they're real expensive.
Yeah, but a lot of those have association fees attached, and there's mowing involved, there's weeding and landscaping, and, I mean, it's a one-stop shop. You buy it and it's taken care of. So
Looks like
there's,
a good travel.
yeah, there's a lot of that, yeah, a lot of that. So that's what Craig, that's what I would like to see. I'd like to say, you know, I think we need to address, to keep the stick builds and things from happening, 400 square foot homes and things like that. I think we need a minimum square footage and address some of these things like Jefferson County did, be a little, pretty thorough on it.
Well, in Greenberg County, like I said, theirs was 800, because I had a little cabin that I was gonna set over in Greenberg County, and I couldn't, because it was only 500 square feet.
Yeah.
So, but I would say 700 square feet at minimum, would you?
I would be okay with 700 or 800 square foot.
Yeah. Or are you thinking that we should just revise our zoning ordinance or what?
There would probably be a couple of different ways to address it.
Yeah, that's
About
right.
it. Yeah,
That's what I mean.
yeah. I could get with Greg and ask him which direction would be the best route to go to address that.
Now, you have places here that there's mobile homes in the city limits. So those are grandfathered in. Now,
Yeah.
they move out, you can't put another one in that
Correct.
spot right there.
Correct.
Once that one's gone, that's it.
Do they not have a year? There's not a gray area there of a year once you pull it out? Or is it just?
I mean, you just think if somebody wanted to upgrade, let's say they had a 1980 model, they wanted a 2020
Yeah,
model. I mean, can they move one out and move one in?
I'm not sure on how that would grandfather. If it's grandfathered based on the actual home itself or,
Yeah.
you know.
I don't think you could address it at home, because hell, that means that it's gotta stay there forever.
Exactly.
1960 mobile home sitting there.
Exactly,
It's
exactly,
getting worse and worse.
exactly,
Yeah, I mean,
exactly. Get the
They
right
could put
person,
that-
he might just say, okay, I'll leave it right there then,
yeah,
let it rust down. Yeah,
That's not so good.
no. I would think you could upgrade it, in my opinion. If you're the same owner,
Yeah.
if you're the same owner.
if you have a business that was grandfathered in, and they close it down, there's a year, I don't know if it's like that here, but most of them I've seen, you have a year for someone to go back in and reopen that. Is
I
that
think
true?
we
under
did. We
grandfather
talked
clause?
about that in another time, before you came on.
Yeah. I haven't.
That was a conversation once over, there was a year grace period on something.
Yeah,
Oh.
I remember that.
To allow somebody else to pick up that grandfather.
grandfather clause, right.
Interesting.
Yeah, because we were actually working on that, trying to take that out. I think it was in some of the commercials, I mean.
Are you saying 700 square feet, you're talking about a 10 by 70? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah,
Because these things, I've seen them a lot smaller than that.
right. Well, that's what I'm saying, is that would keep them from somebody sticking one in their backyard.
Well, I may be wrong on this, but I am thinking of looking at this thing where, you know, a family member moves in, like grandma out back, who doesn't drive anymore.
I'd already thought about that too.
And she can stay there, and, I think a 10 by 70 would be pretty prohibitive for someone to put something like that in. I may be wrong, I just guess I need to, but that's a mobile home size, pretty good sized mobile home.
Yeah.
That's right. But you can't have a separate dwelling unit anyway, right? Most of our zoning districts, right? Single family dwelling. I mean, the way it sits now. But if somebody had a lot, or they demolished a house, what would keep them from putting something like this, what we're talking about in there, so small,
Some
the
neighborhoods,
way it stands
a
now.
lot of the nicer neighborhoods, they already have,
Deed restrictions.
I think like where Gary and I live, it's 2,500 square feet or something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is.
deed restriction.
It is.
Then somebody's got to fight that.
From the neighborhood,
Pardon?
from that neighborhood. So we-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Property owner has.
It's the 10.
Morning, Tim.
I looked at my bosses, I thought we're late.
Tim, you're gonna have to move out of that place you're living in, it's not big enough.
Yeah, yeah, we already, we just need to get out of the city.
Yeah, you gotta know what it is.
No, I can make some more of that.
Don't give it
I
to
didn't
me.
even realize I had two. Where do you want to go from here then with that? We're discussing tiny homes, Tim,
Okay.
and considering minimum square footage, not allowing some of the tiny homes with the, that are basically like mobile homes.
Is everything in the city basically on the city sewer?
Yeah, I would think so.
Now, out of, well, Woods and Townsend, they're not in the city, so
Yeah.
they're not on the city, so.
Yeah, some places don't have
Developments.
sewer.
That some of them don't have sewer. Well, there's your water person, she would know.
And that's what don't make sense to me, they're right up here, the sewer plant's down there.
Yeah. So she would know that answer, and she says
They
no.
don't.
How many units are in there?
Where's that at?
How many dwellings are on that property?
Woods of Townsend?
Mm-hmm.
I
Quite a
would,
few, isn't there?
yeah, oh, there are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I would guess 40,
Yeah.
30 to 40, my guess.
So they have an independent unit,
I'm assuming so, yeah.
yeah.
So do we want to restrict, or do we want to modify our existing zoning to include a square footage minimum and permanent foundation, or, I guess that's one approach, right?
I think that's the cleanest approach, really.
It's fairly simple. Now, I don't think there's any problem, I think other cities have done that kind of thing.
And then, would you change every zone? Because don't you have 3 commercial, or I mean 3 residential?
Yes.
Yeah, I would change it in all 3.
Still leave the property the same, was it 10,000 square foot?
Yeah, whatever that square footage is.
Leave that the same.
That's quarter acre.
Yeah. I know that's when, when I lived in St. Albans, that's what it was, 10,000 square.
Yeah, whatever that square footage is, we would leave
For the
that
lot size.
for the lot size, yeah. So I can go to Greg and ask him if that's the best way to go, and I think it is to go into the zoning.
Have you had any requests for these things, or have you had people talking about them yet, or what?
There's people talking. We've only had one request, and we had, well, I shouldn't say that, we had 2. And the other one decided to just build a larger structure themselves. And that was, I know which one, the one that sits beside Merchants Walk, right there, over down there.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that new build right there, they were originally considering a smaller, tiny home type of structure, and ended up building something, so. So we've had one, to answer your question for sure, but there's,
That one doesn't look very big. How many square feet?
it's not real big. I don't remember how big it was, but it met, boy, Joey was in the books on that one, and it met all their guidelines. from
Check the boxes.
Yeah. Yeah.
To circumvent that, all they have to do is build a walkway attachment from their house to that tiny home, and it would qualify. They could build anything they want, couldn't they? Because it's an attachment to the house in addition to the more square footage for the house itself. I mean, it can classify or qualify as that, I would think. Is that right?
I don't know about that.
I don't know. I can't answer that.
What's the square footage now for a house?
There's not.
There's
Right.
not.
There's deed restrictions in neighborhoods.
Deed restrictions would address that.
So we don't have a
What's the,
city ordinance on how big your house is.
2000,
That's what we're talking about.
So we're talking about maybe doing and then putting it into the zoning.
what's this 2012 International Residential Code?
That's what Joey lives out of, that international code book that and it gives you just all the specs on living spaces and things of that nature. That's what he lives out of, that book.
Does the city here make reference to that anyway?
Yes.
Do they?
Yes. Yes, he does.
Is there anything in that addressing tiny homes?
Not necessarily tiny homes, but it gives reference to measurements regarding living space, like what size it has to be for living quarters,
Kitchen,
kitchens,
bathroom.
bathrooms, and those, and they're quite small.
Yeah.
I mean, they're quite small in that book. But it has to meet the minimums of those numbers in that particular book. And right now, that's all he has to go by. So he references that book when looking at things. But I think addressing that in the zoning would be the best thing.
Maybe talk to Greg
I
about
will.
that, see.
I will.
That sounds all right with you all, I don't know.
I think the direction we should go on it. I think we need to have something in there. Right now, we have no minimum.
Yeah.
square
Don't have
footage.
anything standing.
I don't have anything to stand on.
Yeah.
So I think we need something in there. And that minimum square footage would handle any kind of tiny home conversation, in my opinion.
Permanent foundation.
Yes.
With lot size and everything, I think that'd be okay.
I do too.
I was looking at, been walking around my ward, you know, just for health reasons, not because I like to. But there's one home in my ward that's, I keep thinking, is that about the size, about the minimum size or not?
Uh-huh.
And,
I saw one today, and it's a little rental, and it's not far from here. It's just back up over here, and I looked at that, and I thought that had to be
that's pretty close.
like 500 square foot maybe or something, and
There's one like that.
really tiny.
And it's sold a year or two ago.
Did it?
It's like just a 1 or 2 bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
It's on Lee Street, I think.
That's
Yeah,
where I'm
that's what I
talking.
said.
I'm over in that.
Yeah, that one's sold, and it's sold cheap. It sold in like a day because I tried to buy it.
Wow. So if it's okay with the commission, I'd like to discuss it with Greg and see what's the best direction to go in. Then we can come back and put some more definitive numbers to this. And if it's 700 square foot, you know, that gives you time to research a little bit and go see what a 700 square foot place looks like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
One thing I want to bring up that I just so that I would be able to throw it out there. In our last meeting, we were discussing some things and what we could take to the BZA and what we can't take to the BZA. And what I found out, and what we were discussing was if somebody on the outside of the city limits that maybe didn't have neighbors very far away and they wanted to do a chicken coop, that they would go to the BZA to get that to overturn or whatever. And that's not something that the BZA rules on. It's definitely BZA is zoning. So it wouldn't rule on something like that. There's an awful lot that it does rule on, but it wouldn't rule on something like that because it's zoning. Is that correct?
Yes.
So they just get council.
Yes, it would go to the council at that point. And I didn't catch it until after the meeting, and it was brought to my attention, and I thought, wow, that's correct. So I want to make sure that I just threw that out. And it probably protects the BZA from seeing everything. You know what I mean?
You got to protect them, those are volunteers.
Yeah, those are volunteers, that's for sure. Okay.
I'll make life as simple as we can for them.
Okay. So we will take and clean up the foul ordinance, and then we'll send that to the council for their approval. And then I will discuss tiny homes with Greg, see which way is the best way to go on that. And then you all will be thinking about square footages and putting those numbers together, and we'll meet back and get something figured out. Okay? Any other questions?
Did the municipal league have a recommendation on that square footage?
You know what, I didn't go to them on this particular, we've talked about tiny homes before. I was at a municipal league meeting and we got into that discussion, and they're not really saying a whole lot, they're not giving a lot of guidance on it. And I think it's because there's just not a lot of folks addressing it. You know, I mean, if you go in there and research that, there's not a lot in there.
No, this is.
So, but I love the municipal league. I really do.
Yeah,
I'm
they're
signing up for their meetings now, and going to those meetings, and there's some good info there and some great networking. Really is. I truly believe in that. Okay. Any other questions?
Motion to adjourn.
I believe I'm looking and entertaining a motion to adjourn. I got one on the table. Have a second?
There's one over here.
All right, all in favor, say aye. Okay, thank you. Thanks, guys.